What's up, y'all? I had to do another intro, man, because I want y'all to feel the impact on this one. This video right here, I'm gonna split it up in two parts, but this video right here is going to explain so much from somebody who was there. So sit back and check it out, because this is how I do my research, and I'm gonna start breaking things down. And the further I get into the video, the deeper this thing gets and the more information you're gonna start understanding of the facts of what went down. So let's roll this video. It's gonna be two parts. I just want to show you guys, this is a long interview, 2 hours long. I'm gonna try to chop it up and everything, and I'm gonna do a lot of skipping, but the things I'm gonna skip is gonna be the unimportant things and things that we already know about, right? Roger Bonds, man, you can tell when somebody speaks how sincere they are. You can tell that he was there, and he ain't trying to sugarcoat nothing. He's not trying to make himself look bigger. He just gonna tell it exactly like it is, man. And this is my third time watching this, and I finally came across it and wanted to share it with you guys, because people like him is where I get most of my information from. So check this out. I already fast forward a little bit because I want to get to when he started talking. Check this out.
Remember in our interview, he mentioned that you held him down while he was out there.
Yeah, that's my boy right there, no question.
Yeah, that's my man right there, regular guest. Okay, so you get out, and I remember you mentioned this, I think, on the Danza Project, where, you know, these days security's treated a little bit differently. You try to get the guy who's probably law enforcement, maybe a Navy SEAL, or knows how to use weapons and situations. But back then, you know, these guys like Diddy would basically get a street guy who was known that could, de-escalate situations with other street guys. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Okay, and you were that street guy.
Yeah, I was that street guy. You know, everybody had that. Everybody had the guys around them that they could move around the city without no problems. It wasn't law enforcement back then. Wasn't no cops. It was, yo, if I'm uptown at the Rucker, we're going to use that as a perfect example. Bad Boy had a team at the Rucker. You want to feel comfortable coming up to the Rucker. You want to feel comfortable coming up to Dykeman. And they're not going to respect police like that, but they'll respect, oh, yo, he just came up there with Bond. Oh, okay, cool. So, yeah, that's the way everybody rolled, no matter what city you lived in.
Right, because was it right around that time that Wolf got killed?
No, Wolf got killed,
was it 2004?
Like 2005.
2005, okay, a couple years later.
Yeah.
Was Wolf around during this time?
He was around, but he wasn't around. He was in Atlanta back then.
Right.
Because I remember distinctly, Wolf told me, he said, be careful. So I came on, basic.
I started researching this guy Wolf also. Not a dead end, but it's nothing valuable with Wolf. You know, I'm not saying anything negative about him, but I'm just saying that you don't have to worry about the Wolf. He wasn't around, and not too much stuff added up with all this back talk.
Right after Wolf had left.
Aha.
You know what I'm saying? And one of my friends that just came home from jail doing 10 years, full body, and he was with Puff every day. I was with Loon. And then Uncle Paulie asked him one day, yo, who want me to be with you all the time? He said, that's my man Bonds. Yo, they did the homework, and it came back authentic, and he was like, yo, tell him to come through. And that was the lie. Ever since then, I've been there.
Right, and Paulie was officially Diddy's head of security.
Right, Paulie was the head, and Wolf was the head.
Right, and I guess Paulie would be with Puffy in New York. And I remember I used to see the two of them in New York all the time. Like, he was right there with Diddy.
Right.
But when he would travel out of town, that's when your job would kick in.
That's when mine would kick in, yeah. Every time we got back to New York, I was off, because we might be out of town for a month, 3 weeks, you know what I'm saying? That's when he had the Sean John building uptown, so I would be off when we got back.
Okay, so you joined in 2003. By 2005, an incident happened with Kim Porter. Now, Kim Porter had been dating Diddy since 1994. They ultimately ended up having 3 kids together. At the time, in 2005, they just had one child together, but they had a very tumultuous relationship. I remember Kim did an interview with Essence, and she said that Diddy would call her 50 or 60 times a day. That, you know, she said, it was like my life was not my own. He was very, very intrusive. And I remember I did an interview with the actor Michael Jai White, who was friends, well, his ex was close friends with Kim Porter,
right.
And they'd be around, and he said that these phone calls would constantly come. They'd be hanging out, having drinks, and suddenly Puffy would call. She would have to go to the other room, argue with him, and so forth.
This was at a time where he was really back and forth, really wanting, I guess, I feel, to get back with her. But it was just chaos surrounding this dude.
With Kim Porter.
Yeah. And we'd all be, me, Kim, and my ex at the time, I don't want to mention her name, get her drugged and dragged into here. Like, Kim would be on the phone with him a lot.
So there was a situation on a yacht.
I respect, oh man, I don't even know his name. He's an actor also.
To get back with him.
But I respect his point of view. I can tell the way he acts. He's doing the best he can in Hollywood. And I think he just make great B movies. I just call them B movies. You know, they not hit movies like a Bad Boy and Will Smith, you know, that type of thing. But he makes great movies.
Sure. But it was just chaos surrounding this dude.
With Kim Porter.
Yeah. And we'd all be, me, Kim, and my ex at the time, I don't want to mention her name, get her drugged and dragged into here. Like, Kim would be on the phone with him a lot.
So there was a situation on a yacht.
Right.
You were there, but you were around.
Right. Definitely.
So what was that situation over?
I can't tell you what the situation was over. I took them to where the yacht came and picked them up at. And Puff said, I don't need no security because it was just personal friends getting on the yacht. And then I picked them up when the yacht came back. And I seen Kim nose taped up. And it was whispers all around the office of everything that happened because his assistants were there and they was talking about it. He tried to say that she hit a table, but everybody in the office and everybody that was immediate around him knew exactly what happened.
Okay, did you know what the argument was over? Because there was rumors that it was over Shakir Stewart because she had dated him before, and there was a story at one point. There was a wedding in Italy, L.A. Reid's wedding, and I guess Shakir was dating.
Shakir was there.
Yeah, Shakir was there. He was at the time dating Kim Porter, and they said that Diddy allegedly broke a chair over Shakir's head, left him bleeding there. He had to have stitches. Diddy threatened he was going to kill him, and so forth. Shakir ended up committing suicide. Later on in 2008. Do you know about this story with Shakir?
I know about the story with Shakir, but I can't validate the hitting with the chair. I know that he definitely had a situation with him because Shakir ended up, I don't know if he was managing Jeezy or heading his career, but everywhere Jeezy went, Shakir was there.
Yeah.
So we would bump into him in a couple of times and Puff would just be on point. You know what I'm saying? Shakir would give me a little look, but never a hard stare. It was like he was scared.
Okay, so there was some sort of tension between the two.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, but the situation happened on the yacht, and Diddy allegedly punched Kim Porter in the nose.
Right.
And her nose was broken. When you picked them up, when they were leaving the yacht, how bad a shape was Kim Porter in?
Kim was basically just quiet. You know what I'm saying? You could tell she was sad. It wasn't like somebody was supposed to look when they came off a vacation on a yacht for a couple of weeks and stuff like that, and she had some tape over her nose.
Okay, and there's actually a picture. This picture here was circling around.
Yeah.
Okay, so that tape over her nose, that was right around that same time.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, she didn't look like she was mangled, but there was definitely something happened to her nose.
Right.
There was stories that Puff had flown in a plastic surgeon or something like that. You know anything about that?
Yeah, he definitely did.
He flew in a plastic
surgeon? He flew
surgeon?
in a plastic surgeon. Good. Puff will fly in whatever you need to cover yourself up.
He definitely did.
You know what I'm saying? He's going to fly in your doctors so that he can know. He was controlling when it came to Kim. So he would fly in doctors. Anything that if anything was wrong with it, that it wouldn't get leaked out, he was able to control the situation.
Okay, well, like I said, this happened in 2005. You had been with Diddy for 2 years at this point. Leading up to this, had you seen any sort of violent altercations from Diddy?
I seen him get into arguments. I seen one altercation. It was a young lady, I believe her name was Erica.
Okay.
And that was his girlfriend at the time. I seen them get into one big fight. At this time, I'm basically rather new, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't step into the situation, but the situation also didn't escalate to stomping out or beating up. It was basically an argument that turned into a smack, and then they went upstairs.
So he smacked her in the face?
Yes.
Open hand?
It wasn't closed hand, yeah, it was open hand.
Okay, how did she react when she got smacked?
Nah, she was a very timid, and she worked for Sean John. So being that she worked there, it was but so much she could do. And they was together for quite a while.
Now, this was the first situation that you knew about between Kim Porter and Diddy, but it was not the last.
Right, it wasn't the last.
How many fights did you see, physical fights, did you see between Kim Porter and Puffy?
I seen 3.
3?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the first one?
That was the first one.
Name me the other 2.
The other 2 was one time when we went to Kim's house and Puff was banging on the door. The rumors were that she was inside with a guy and he was like, yo, we not leaving here until I get in this house. And I was like, yo, it's 12 o'clock at night, Puff, what are we doing? He was like, yo, she's in the house. So about 1:30, 2 o'clock, I looked at him and said, yo, we gonna get locked up sitting outside. Because we was in Toluca Lake.
Yeah.
And he was going around to every window trying to get in and everything else. So the next day when they got together, they went into the room and I heard some tussling and stuff like that. I didn't actually see what was going on, see what was happening. And then it was another time that I explained earlier that we were at the Beverly Hills Hotel. What type of argument they got into, I don't know. But he said, yo, get out the car, Barnes. And I got out the car. And next thing I knew, I seen the car rumbling, shaking, this, that, and the other. So then I opened up the door and said, yo, we in front of the Beverly Hills Hotel. So then Kim got out the car, she fixed her hair, and she said, yeah, like I said, she said, I want to explain. Put your hands on me again, and you're going to have to explain this scratch that I'm about to put on your face.
Wow.
And Kim knew how to, Kim got to the point where she wasn't going for it. She wasn't having it. She knew that if she at least fought back, that it was a chance that she could leave a mark on him. And if she left a mark on him, he had a lot of explaining to do of what that mark was about. So by her saying that, it would check him and put him back into his place like, yeah, I can't do that to her, you know?
Now, wasn't there a story that Kim had cut the inside of Puffy's arm, or there's an artery that was bleeding or something like that?
Yeah, that's on the wrist, but that was when Gene was there. That wasn't when I was there. But
yeah, that's the other security guard, Gene. He cool too.
The rumors and the scars there, but I never knew what it was from.
So you saw the scar on
Yes.
on his wrist. Okay, but this was a Gene Deal story.
Yes.
Got it. And I guess Kim stayed because she knew, you know, eventually, you know, once she had technically four kids with Puffy, because the first son was technically adopted by Puff. And if she ever decided to leave, it's like, what, $30,000 a month, she would just basically be making a bunch of money anyways. So she wasn't really tripping, or?
It was, I'm going to tell you a story. It was a time, I used to carry all the money, right, in the Louis Vuitton bag. That was Puff's personal bag, and I would carry it all the time. And it was one time that we was in the LA house, and I guess Puff pulled out the money without remembering that he left condoms inside the bag. So when he's showing his money, I guess the condoms came out. And the next thing I heard was, Bonds, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. So I pick up the PA system, yo, come to my room, come to my room. And he said, yo, would you tell Kim that you carry the bag and you carry the money all the time? I said, yeah, so would you tell Kim this is your condoms inside it? I said, damn, Puff, I left the condoms in the bag, my fault. I said, I'm sorry, Kim. And she just looked at me with a funny look. You know what I'm saying? And then we went out, I walked out the room, and Kim came about 5 minutes later. And she said, Barnes, both of you motherfuckers gonna go to hell. I said, what you talking about, Kim? So she said, both of y'all gonna go to hell. She said, I know that ain't your motherfucking condoms in that bag. And she distinctly said to me, she said, I go for this shit because I will allow it. She said, remember, I got 4 of them. And then about 3 minutes later, Puff seen that she was talking to me. He said, yo, what'd she say? I said, she said she go for this shit because whenever she get tired of it, she wants you to know she got 4 of them. I said, what you mean by that? He said, yeah, she damn sure do got 4. And then that's when I officially knew that Puff had adopted Quincy, because I counted on my fingers. I said, the twins, Christian. I said, oh, he must got legal custody of Quincy. So that's what she meant. She had 4 of them.
That situation happened on the boat.
Wow. That's
and
crazy.
that same year, Cassie met Diddy.
Yeah.
And she was 19, he was 37. She had just independently dropped the song Me and You with Ryan Leslie. And the song was, I believe it first got picked up in Germany and then started to get a little bit of buzz. And by that next year, 2006, Cassie ends up signing a 10-album deal with Bad Boy.
Right.
10 albums. When you kind of say it out loud, it's kind of crazy.
That's phenomenal. That's crazy.
So Cassie signs a 10-album deal with Bad Boy. She releases her debut album. Me and You was the hit song on there. It debuted #4 on Billboard.
Right.
And that was, you know, although Cassie had some other songs here and there, that was her big hit song. At this time, Diddy and Cassie weren't dating yet.
Right.
But Cassie was an artist on his label along with a bunch of other artists. So then that next year in 2007, Kim Porter was pregnant with Diddy's twin daughters. And then Diddy had a daughter with Sarah Chapman,
Yes.
who was actually Tupac's ex.
Right.
The Tupac and Diddy connection really runs so deep, it's a little crazy. And I guess once Kim found out about the other kid, she broke up with Diddy officially.
Yeah, Kim was upset because Sarah Chapman was also one of her best friends.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Sarah Chapman was also one of her best friends also. So she was really upset about that. And she said that she drew the line. So Sarah Chapman, child, because I actually guarded the twins when they were in the hospital in Mount Sinai when Kim had the baby.
Oh.
My duty was to sit there to make sure the nurses didn't take pictures and different things like that. And Sarah, they might be so close as maybe a month and a half as far as birthdays is concerned.
Okay.
And she got pregnant right after Sarah Chapman.
Okay, and she flipped out when she found out that Diddy had another baby on the way.
She flipped completely out. Like, the kids wasn't even allowed to see each other.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until years later, I'm gonna say maybe, I want to say maybe like 4 years later, where she allowed the child to come over with the other kids and stuff, because at first she wasn't having it.
Were you around Sarah Chapman though?
That means she was not, she didn't want to claim the kid or anything. That's what that meant. That means, but then she became an adult and realized that this is your brother and sister. Y'all need to form some type of bond for the future.
Yes, I know Sarah.
Okay.
I wasn't around her. I didn't really get around Sarah until she had the baby.
Okay.
And when she had the baby, they went to arbitration court. Me and Puff flew out there, and he went into a tantrum. And Sarah is a very quiet, timid, around the way girl. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't after Puff for the money or anything like that. And that was what really seemed that he liked. And he told me one day, he said, you know, Sarah, it's okay, because I give her like $5,000 a month and she happy. So it wasn't about what he felt she deserved. It was about like, oh, I could just lowball her and she's okay with it.
Wow.
Was there any drama between him and Sarah?
Just the only time.
But $5,000 a month, so you guys to put it in perspective, especially in this area. I live in the DC area, and this is more of a, you need a lot of money to, not a lot of money, but you need some real money to live in this area. And if you're making $5,000, you ain't got no job, you ain't got to worry about nothing, that's some damn good money to live in the hood or just, you know, be hood rich. Hood rich is what we're talking about.
Time that I seen the drama was when they had the arbitration.
Okay. So, Diddy has like 3 kids in the same year from 2 different women. And right around that time, according to Cassie and her lawsuit, that's when Diddy started to really press up on Cassie.
Right. He started pressing up on her. Her first visit to the house, we was all in Miami. She came with Ryan Leslie. So when she came with Ryan Leslie, this was all business. And it was when she was there for 2 weeks with Ryan Leslie that Diddy started looking at her like, oh, wow. So I knew right from there that it was going to be a problem, because he told Slam, Slam was his producer, who brought Cassie into play. Yo, you got to meet this girl. She's such and such and such. She's Ryan, da-da-da. So when he came, he said, okay, next time, have Cassie come by herself. So when I seen Cassie 2 weeks later by herself, I said, oh, God, why did he allow this to happen? Like, I would never allow my girl to come out the Diddy house by herself. And that was all she wrote.
Right, because in the lawsuit, it said, you know, that year, Diddy picked up Cassie from her apartment in Manhattan in a blue luxury vehicle. Cassie was surprised when she got into the car because Diddy was already high. He handed her a pill and told her to take it. When Cassie asked what the pill was, he dismissed her and said that she would like it. She later learned that it was ecstasy, something she had never tried before. And that was the first time that Cassie claims that Diddy got her high.
Okay.
And you said that everyone took ecstasy in that crew.
Right.
That was a regular occurrence.
Right.
Okay. Later that year, right around fall, Cassie claims that Diddy paid a promoter to create a fake flyer for a party that Cassie was supposed to be hosting. And that basically allowed him to make an excuse for Cassie to fly out to Miami without Ryan Leslie.
Okay.
During that trip, Cassie claims that Diddy gave her tons of drugs, kept her high throughout the whole weekend, and that was the first time that they actually had sex.
Okay.
Do you remember that weekend? Were you around?
Yes, I was around.
Okay. Do you know about the fake flyer?
I don't know about the fake flyer, but I do remember when she came back and they went out to the club.
I like the way he listens and he collects the information like a agent, like an undercover security. He does security, you got to remember that. So he is collecting the information first of the question, and then he's chopping up and saying, well, I don't remember the flyer, but I do remember that incident. Very interesting the way he's putting things down. I like it. When I first seen this and first seen him talking, I watched the whole thing, man. This is deep. This is real deep. It's gonna get deeper. Watch this.
A couple of times, and it was a couple of times when they would stay in the studio to 4 or 5 in the morning. I wouldn't be allowed to go to bed until they left the studio. And, you know, being nosy, we all would just stay around and kind of watch and say, yo, how long do you think it's gonna be? You know, how long do you think it's gonna take before he break the safe? That's that type of conversation. And then we all realized when she didn't stay in her room one night that we said, okay, this is it.
Right, and the two of them started to become serious. Right. He bought her a car. He got her an apartment in Manhattan that was walking distance to his apartment. And she said that when he first showed her the apartment, her parents were there.
Right.
And, you know, they're a little skeptical, but they're proud that their daughter is doing well and she has this nice place and, you know, she has this, you know, this rich boyfriend, and, you know, she's doing well financially and pursuing her career. You were around her parents at all?
Yes.
What was their overall vibe with the situation?
I would say that at first, like you said, they was kind of skeptical. They never really accepted the situation, but they wanted their daughter to be happy. So the father was very quiet. The mother would be around a little bit more. Her brother would be around. And at the beginning of the relationship, it was like a watchful thing. But, you know, Puff has a way of sending them on trips and doing everything else for the family to ease it. So everybody accepted it after, I would say, around
when the family
a year or two. It was just a regular occurrence.
Okay. And she claimed that Diddy lavished her with designer clothes, jewelry, everything else like that.
Yeah, she didn't want for nothing.
Yeah.
But he did everything. Wasn't nothing allowed to be in her name.
Oh.
Her show money, nothing. Everything was funneled through him.
And he was managing her as well, right?
Yeah, he was doing everything. It was a one-stop shop. If you wanted to book her, because I was booking Diddy at that time for a lot of parties, so people would also come to me for Cassie. So I would have to go to him. And it seemed like $10,000 would be enough for somebody who just only has one single. But he would turn down a lot of the parties, and I started to begin to think he didn't want her to be successful. Because he would be like, no, that's enough, go get 25. I'm like, go get 25, I can't get 25 for her. And I think she started to catch on to those type of things.
2009, wow, she shaves the side of her head. You were there when it happened.
Yes.
Describe that whole situation.
It was basically inside a club, and it was a lady standing up over, and I kept seeing Puff looking up, and I'm saying to myself, what is he looking at? What is he looking at? And then I think he had one of his assistants say something to the lady. And then he told Cassie, yo, you gonna get that haircut right there. You gonna get that. And Cassie was just like, okay, Pop. You know what I'm saying? She used to call Puff Pop. And she said, okay, and next thing you know, the next day, if I'm not mistaken, his personal barber, Curtis, was the one that cut her hair for that first time.
Okay, and she wasn't against it. It wasn't forced or anything else like that, right?
I don't know what happened in private, if she was rebuking it or not, but I know that next day she got that haircut.
Well, I remember during that time, it became a trend. You would go to the mall and see black girls, white girls, all with the side of their head shaved, and yeah, she became a trendsetter.
It became such a big thing that nobody ever looked at it as controlling. We looked at it as a brilliant marketing move.
Yeah. Okay, well, that same year, Cassie got breast implants.
Yes.
And originally, she got D cups.
Right.
Which, with a girl that small, I mean, I've met Cassie before.
Right.
You know, I didn't know her, but I ran into her. I've had brief conversations with her. She's a relatively small girl. D cups on a girl that size is a little bit silly.
Right.
But ultimately, she did decide to get the D cups. When she got home, Puffy was upset.
Right, and she had to go back and get C cups.
Okay.
I remember that specifically because she had to wear things where she couldn't pick up stuff. So I used to have to help out the car and pick up her bags and things like that because she was wrapped up.
Okay, but when he told her go back and get them redone, was she upset?
I didn't know. I didn't know if not, because my job was she just went back. I didn't have that conversation of whether.
So she got some breast work done, and Puffy didn't like it, so made her go back under the knife again to get them redone. That's double painful. Oh my gracious, man! You talking about a monster?
She was upset.
This is why I'm putting this information out there, because some of these stories nobody has heard yet. Nobody has heard these stories, man. So
how long after the first breast job did she go back and get the second?
If I wanna, don't hold me to it. It was so long ago for that, but I would say a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks.
See what I'm saying? See how he talks? Don't hold me to it, but I would say this, I would say that.
Say it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you described her at one point that she was almost like a crash dummy for Diddy, where he would just have her do stuff. And
yes. I felt that way because she was a child. She was a kid. She was manipulated, and she was with one of the most powerfulest men inside the business. And if anybody could get her somewhere, it would be Diddy. You know what I'm saying? So when we would be around her, he would say, yo, she's gonna blow up, she's gonna do this, she's gonna do that, yo, I need her to work with this person to that person. So he would put in the work as if he was trying to help her, but if you sat back and watched it, you would say, no, he's trying to control her.
That year, there was an incident in a New York City nightclub where I guess a guy walked up and tried to talk to Cassie.
Right.
And Puffy got upset.
Right.
What happened?
He smacked the guy.
Okay.
And we was outside the club, and then they came rushing him out. And I was like, yo, what happened? He was like, yo, man, he just smacked you. Da, da, da. We got to the house. By the time we got to the house, we was there for about a half an hour. And then he got the phone call that the guy would not press charges if he brought him down $30,000. So we went in the safe, got the $30,000, and they went and took it down to the guy. And you never heard nothing else about it again.
Okay, and that same year, another situation happened with Diddy's personal chef.
Right, Jordan.
Jordan 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦?
𝗟𝗓𝗡, yeah, Jordan
Okay,
𝗟𝗓𝗡.
how long has she been Diddy's chef at that point?
She had been Diddy's chef altogether. I would say Jordan stayed there about 3 years. And this happened around almost on her way out the door. So she had been his chef for about 2 years at that particular time.
Okay, and from what you heard and saw, what happened?
From what I heard specifically from her, you know what I'm saying? He put his hands on her. You know, she said that he was very upset at her because she wouldn't let the cleaners inside the Alpine house. Puff used to live in Alpine, New Jersey. And she was there, and she was looking out for the twins. Even though Kim had nannies, she trusted Jordan just to like be her eyes and ears. Like, let me know, make sure that they treating her a certain way, make sure the kids is good. So it was a time that the house was really messy. And they had sent over some from the office. The office controls everything. So they sent over some people to clean the office. She'd never seen it because she was used to Mexican people coming over to clean the house. So when some black people came there, she wasn't sure if she should let them in or not. So she didn't let them in. So then the nanny came over and asked her to make some coffee. And she said she didn't know how to make the coffee. And then she said out of nowhere, Puff just stormed into the kitchen and was complaining about her, talking about her, got in her face, put his hand on her forehead and started pushing it back. And if you know Jordan, you know that Jordan ain't gonna let a man just put her hands on. So she said, don't put your hands on me. One thing led to another. And with all his might, he pushed her out, flung her out the door. Wow. And she fell on her ass and she fell on her knees. And that was the last time I seen Jordan. And I actually didn't even know. Everybody was talking about it the next day. But I was like, for real? She just quit out of nowhere? So I never really knew why she quit. But with everything that's going on with Cassie, she reached out to me and she said it's really, really, really bothering her. Like, it brought back all the trauma and everything that she went through with Diddy, who was always screaming at her, yelling at her. And the fact that he put his hands on her, that it was kind of driving her right now. Yeah,
I mean, the story I heard was he threw her out like on Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
You know, the way Jazz would get thrown out the front door, it was like that, I heard.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said.
It's crazy.
See, this guy right here, Bonds, Roger Bonds. See, he's not going to sugarcoat it. It's no joking matter. Threw her out like on Fresh Prince, the way he's not like that. He's from the street. He said, man, he put her hands on her. So she said she rolled out and Puffy then threw her out the house. You know, no sugarcoating. That's what I like about this dude. And my man Blad, he's saying that, you know, he's trying to put humor into it. And this is my research, y'all. This is how I do my research.
Yeah. But if you know Puff, when it comes to women and it comes to his workers, that's not the first time. You know what I'm saying? His exact words to me one time was, watch me make her cry.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Watch me make her cry. Not even her Pacific. He had another chef who he had made cry. And I remember, I think her name was Danielle. And she cried and she told me, she said, I'm gonna call my father, Bonds. And she was getting ready to call her father to come talk to Puff. And I said, don't call your pops. I said, you know, get yourself together. He didn't put his hands on her, he just was screaming at her. And I said, just get yourself together and think about it. And she had the day off. You know what I'm saying? She went and got herself together. And then the next day she came back, but she didn't stay for long. You know, it was like she had to get herself together and get a new job, and she left. But he specifically told me, yo, watch me make her cry. He got off on that.
So he liked to hurt women in a way?
I don't know what was wrong with Puff. I think it was his power. He felt like if women bowed down to him, it would show his power.
By 2010,
God, dog, yeah. Watch me make her cry. Why would you say that to somebody thinking that that's gonna make you look bigger? Watch me make her cry. That's like me saying, watch me make, man, I have seen things like this over and over again. Watch me do this to him, and it backfires on you like it's doing now. Puffy, you are a monster. This is why I keep saying the facts.
You know, like I said, Diddy already had one apartment for Cassie in New York, but he went and got her another apartment in LA, which is about 5 minutes away from his house. You knew about that apartment?
Yes.
Okay. So now she has 2 apartments.
Right.
And she said that, you know, over the, a few years, that Diddy introduced her to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse that required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. She said Diddy would have pills and other drugs in the open like candy. And at first, Cassie was given prescriptions that he had gotten from his doctor in Miami, but eventually he ran out of pills, so he demanded that she would get her own prescriptions in her own name and then give those pills to him. Do you know about this at all?
Yes.
What kind of pills were these?
You had all type. You had opium,
Opiates.
Oh yeah, you had Percocets. That's basically the 2 that I know about, because I really don't know those type of stuff. But I think everybody went, when we got to Miami, everybody would go to the pharmacy and pick his shit up in their name. You know, even one time I believe I went and picked up something in my name one time. You know what I'm saying?
Really? And then you gave it to Diddy?
And I just gave it to Diddy, yeah. You know, but he would do that on the regular. So at that point, I thought it was because he was Diddy and just didn't want to go into CVS. But he had doctors that would just write him a prescription for whatever he wanted.
Do you think that Diddy at this time was a junkie?
I know he was a junkie at this time.
I know he was a junkie. You got so much money that you got doctors taking your money. You got so much money that you have doctors who did an oath writing you prescriptions. In anybody's name you want the prescription to be written in so you can get your fix, and you know you wrong, doctors. I will call the doc, man, I would, God dang, boy, you better be lucky this ain't my world. If this was my world, Mike Cross for president, I would burn some people at the stakes, man. We need to bring law and order back to this world.
So
How many pills were he taking a day?
I had no idea knowing how many he would take, but he had a bag that he would carry with him every day, and it was up to the assistant or even the security to carry this bag. It was called, he had a name for it. It was called the medicine bag.
The medicine bag.
And in this medicine bag would be everything that he need, all his pills, all the Viagras, all the Sierras, everything was in this medical bag right here. So, you know, sometime I would get it and look at it and be like, what the fuck is all these pills for? But he definitely had some doctors in Miami that would write whatever you wanted. And it wouldn't all be in his name. It would be in his assistant's name and anybody else that was around.
Did you ever take pills yourself?
I actually did.
Okay.
I actually did.
Keep it honest, all right.
You know, no, I'm going to keep it all the way honest. It was times where I was up 24 hours, 48 hours. And when you're around this type of situation, you try it. And I actually did try it. I took ecstasy at that time. And I found myself kind of staying up because of this. You know what I'm saying? And I had to get away from that. And I just stopped taking it. I wasn't hooked or nothing like that. I just stopped taking it.
Yeah. According to Cassie's lawsuit, she said over the next decade, multiple times each year, Diddy would violently beat her, leaving bruises on her body. And after every instance, he would use his money and power to orchestrate extensive efforts to hide the evidence of the abuse. He would keep her in hotels to let the bruises heal, shower her with gifts, etc., etc. Now, you yourself said that you saw 3 different instances of this specific abuse. So, let's talk about 3 instances. One of which happened on Sunset Boulevard in LA coming out of a party. I guess that Cassie was talking to Johnny Wright. He was a music manager that used to manage Danity Kane and was involved in a bunch of other stuff. What happened next?
I seen her coming out after she was talking to him, and I seen Puff run up on her. And he just hit her out of nowhere. And she fell to the ground, and I'm looking to the left and the right, and I run up on him. And I said, yo, what are you doing, yo? And I grabbed him up off her, and then after I grabbed him, he stopped, and then he ran up on her again. And this time she fell on the floor on the side of the car, side of the truck. And I ran up on them again, and I grabbed them again. And I said, yo, what are you doing? We inside here. Yo, get in the car. And I pushed them inside the car. Cassie got inside the car. They started fighting inside the car again. I had to pull over, get back out the car, separate them again. By this time, Cassie is just like her hair is distraught. I didn't see the bruises at that particular time. And then we took them back to the house, and they went into the room, and they started fighting again. And then I seen Cassie run up out the room, and he was like, yo, Bonds, get her out of here. Get her the fuck out of my house. Get out of my house. And the assistants had called over, and they called over to the London hotel. And he said, yo, take her over to the London. And I went to the front desk. They had her keys ready for her and everything. And then she went upstairs to the London hotel.
Well, this was covered in the lawsuit. According to her words, she said in the car leaving the club, Diddy beat her, pushed her into a corner of the vehicle, and stomped on her face. Diddy's security, Roger Bonds, you were actually named in the lawsuit, tried to stop the beating but was unable to de-escalate the situation. When the car arrived to Diddy's house, Cassie tried to run away, but Diddy followed her, proceeded to kick her again in the face.
Right.
Cassie was bleeding profusely and was ushered into his house, where she began to throw up from the violent attack. Upon recognizing the damage he had done and the evidence of the abuse, he panicked and he forced the staff to bring her to a hotel suite at the London Hotel, she just said, where she was required to stay for a week. While in the hotel, she has to go home to her parents, but Diddy wouldn't let her leave. She lied to her mother when the story was kind of started to circulate, and he basically told one of his assistants to buy her a whole bunch of gifts, and they were delivered to the hotel room to try to pacify her.
Right.
The stories pretty much match up.
Exactly.
So everything I just described
is what I'm saying.
Is what you're saying.
Because it's true.
Okay. Did you actually see her at the London Hotel?
Yes.
And
I would go and check on her.
You would go and check on her?
I would go and check on her.
And you described she had a black eye.
Yeah, she had a black eye. And one time that I went, she opened up her shirt. Because I said, yo, Cassie, you okay? And she was just looking at me. She looked at me like, I looked at her like a daughter at this particular time. But you had to be really careful with Cassie, because if you talk to her while she's alone, she'll tell you one thing. But it was like she was so scared of Diddy that when she got alone with Diddy, she would actually tell him that she was talking to you. So she told me she opened up her shirt. She had only had to open it one button, and she opened up her shirt and she had purple bruises all over her chest. And she just started crying.
See, these are the things that make people don't get involved, because the victim will go back and tell, because they brain and they thinking is so backwards. They think that if I tell you before you find out, then you won't beat me no more. I just don't want to be beat no more, so I am going to bow down to you and tell you that I'm actually talking to Bonds.
Right. I guess you said that she was worried that it might be more serious, like her ribs were broken.
Right. But he had some doctors go check on her. He didn't want to see her, and he didn't want her around the house because he didn't want to face what he did to her. He didn't want people asking questions about what happened. So she stayed in the London hotel. Then from there, if I'm remembering correctly, she went home for a little while, and then the next time you just seen her back at the house like nothing happened.
Well, the question that a lot of people ask was, if you saw this, and there is no gray area here in terms of what happened. He viciously beat her, she's badly messed up, but you didn't leave your job. You continue to work for him. So in a way, people are almost blaming you for enabling the situation in a way.
Right. I find that kind of funny that people say that, right? Because out of so many security people, out of so many assistants, so many people around, why did Cassie mention my name? And the reason she mentioned my name is because I was the only one that would try to help her in those situations, which in reality at that particular time, I was able to diffuse these situations, or at least to get him to like, damn, Bonds just broke it up. Okay, that gives a person a time to now think about what they're doing. So to me, I felt like me getting in between that was stopping the situation of him maybe even accidentally pushing her on the floor, murdering or killing her, whatever. But the reason I didn't leave, and I would say it was the same reason she didn't leave. You know, she didn't leave because she was scared of her blackballing him blackballing her.
Yeah.
So she would always come back. She would leave for a week or two, come back. I was in the same situation, just coming home from jail not too long ago, running around the city and the state. So manipulation doesn't just go for women. Manipulation goes for all your staff. So being the powerful man that he was, I knew that if I left him, that there was no other artist that was gonna hire me, because I was with Diddy, and who was big enough to go against him? What was he gonna say about, yo, you don't want Bonds around you? So I stayed longer, but what I did was, I started watching situations. I started trying to talk to Cassie about situations, and Cassie would just go back and tell him everything that I said. So it became a time when I was booking Cassie to go on trips where he would no longer let me book her. He would no longer let me be around her alone because he knew that I was talking to her about situations. But the reason that I really didn't actually just get up and leave was because who was going to look after them if I did leave? Nobody else. Nobody else was getting in the middle of it.
Yep. Did you ever physically get into it with Diddy? Like trying to stop these situations? Would you ever try to grab him and push him off?
I would grab him, and sometimes he'd be like, yo, get off of me, get off of me. I'd be like, I'm not letting you go until you calm down. Calm down. You know what I'm saying? Because I was at that time, I was big at that time. I think I was like 260, 250. So I would be like, yo, just stay, calm down, yo. Look what you're doing. You try to bring a person back.
Look at his lip. Look how his lip twitch. I want y'all to notice this. This is what I be studying now. I'm studying this stuff. He is in his feelings right now while he's telling the story. This is some good stuff, man. Watch this. I went back twice. He is furious over this, and think about it. It's always two sides to a story, but you got this good side. I stayed. It's like I had to stay and protect her. I was the only one trying to protect her when this stuff do jump off. She wouldn't leave, so I had to be there to defend her because she wouldn't leave. She the one getting beat up, not me. I just got a job. Why she ain't leave? See, people don't look at it like that. They look at it like who I need to point the finger at, instead of looking at both sides of the story before you make your judgment.
Did you ever try to grab him and push him off?
I would grab him, and sometimes he'd be like, yo, get off of me, get off of me. I'd be like, I'm not letting you go until you calm down. Calm down. You know what I'm saying? Because I was at that time, I was big at that time. I think I was like 260, 250. So I would be like, yo, just stay, calm down, yo. Look what you're doing. You try to bring a person back to remembering what they're doing. And at that particular time, it would work. Now, what would go on later on, just like you seen in Cassie video.
That twitching of the lip, it's like, I'm telling the truth. I know I'm right. I feel rightness. I feel the rightness of what I'm saying. And no matter what, I'm not going to change my mind. You're going to calm down. That's when I'm going to let you go. You're not going to get let go until you calm down. Sometimes I feel the same way, man. Body expressions tell exactly what you're feeling. You can't change it.
Wasn't nobody around them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these things would escalate when it was only them around. Yeah, the initial hit would come when people was around. But once you get into the middle of that and you stop that, he's going to cease it for that particular time. And then when they get alone, that's when it will carry on. So now if I turned around and left, and that's what I tell people all the time, if I turned around and left, and then the next day it escalates, if them other people around there is not there to get in between it, as well as taking care of my family, that's one reason also, who else was going to stop it?
Well, according to her lawsuit, there's another incident that happened in New York after a party with Jay-Z. It was an Escalade. And she said that Diddy started to beat her, kick her, and so forth. He forced her out of the car on Fifth Avenue in New York. She eventually got a cab and got to her apartment in Manhattan, where she basically came home, cried in fear, and she spent 3 days in her apartment. Do you know about this incident?
I know about the incident, but I wasn't there for that night. Because when we went to New York, Paulie would take over.
Right. Paulie was the New York guy.
Right.
You were the out-of-town guy.
Yeah.
Got it. But you did see a fight when you guys were in a Cadillac at one point.
Yes.
And you guys were driving.
Yes.
Describe what happened.
Her and Puff was fighting, and I broke it up again. And I put Puff in the front seat, and I put Cassie in the back seat. And he was just sitting there, and I was like, yo, y'all can't be acting up like this, man. And then Cassie had punched him in the face, rightfully. She punched him in the face, and they started fighting, and I had the window open. And people started pulling up, oh shit, that's Diddy and Cassie in there fighting, and I'm trying to roll the window up at the same time. So in my mind, I was happy because I actually seen her fight back.
Yeah, there you go.
In my mind, I was happy. And then when we got to the house, I pulled both of them out. And at this time, I was able to grab Puff. And I was able to start walking him up the hill. We lived in Beverly Hills. So I started walking him up the hill. And then Cassie ran behind me and she kicked him. You know what I'm saying? When he went to chase her, I grabbed him again. And I was able to stop it. So these are the things that people don't talk about. So I was able to stop it at that time. And then later on, they went in the house. It was almost like they would stay in the room for 2-3 days at a time, doing nothing but getting high. And then when they came out the room, it was like a different person. Cassie would be like a whole different type of person. She was very quiet. She started really not talking. And that's when I started realizing, like, she's at the point where she's just terrified.
Well, when she punched Diddy in the face in the car, I guess she had a ring on?
Yeah, she had a ring on. She had a monkey ring on. And the reason I remember this monkey ring on is because Uncle Paulie had left this same ring in LA one time. And he said, yo, Bonds, when you get to the house in LA, yo, I left Cassie ring. So I said, okay, I'll get it. So I got the ring and I put it in a tissue. And you know how you just empty your pockets out one day? I emptied my pockets out and I threw the ring away.
Wow.
And this ring was a $10,000 ring.
Wow.
So I just threw it away. So when I went back to Ralph's to look in the parking lot, it wasn't there. So I went to, well, I forgot the jeweler name, famous jeweler on Fifth Avenue. This is Loren, something Loren. And I went to her. She knew who I was. And she gave me the same ring again on a payment plan. And I said, yo, I can't go back and tell them I lost this ring. And she said, okay, I'm gonna give you the ring, Bonds, but you gotta pay me $1,000 every month. And I said, okay. And lo and behold, it was a see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil ring.
The three monkeys.
The three monkeys.
Yeah.
But this was a see no evil. So the ring that she gave me was a hear no evil. Everything else was the same. And once again, when Cassie got in the room alone with Puff, for some reason she was afraid, and the next thing I heard was, Bonds, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. And I picked up the phone, and he said, yo, what happened? You lost the ring? You lost Cassie's ring?
Wow.
And I said, yeah, I lost the ring. He said, why you ain't tell me? I said, why should I tell you? I said, you always arguing with people about not handling things themselves. So I went down to the jeweler, I took responsibility, and I got another ring. He said, yeah, but that's not exactly the ring. You had to really look at it and see that it was different. And he left it at that. But that was just one of the reasons why I couldn't really talk to Cassie and couldn't really help Cassie, because when she was on drugs, she would tell him everything.
So it's almost like two crackheads that are always fighting each other in a way, just high off drugs and just beating each other up, like the shit you see in the street almost.
Yes.
Because they're all high on drugs as all this is happening.
Yeah, they all the time. And then they would get the IVs in the morning and have the people come shoot them up with nutrients and things like that. And then the next thing would happen again. They wouldn't do these type of things in the house most of the time. It was like we had houses he had houses in LA, but he would say, yo, this Friday, me and Cassie going to a hotel. And they would go from Friday to Monday. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever they was doing, they didn't want people that lived in the house with him. Like I lived in the house, one of his assistants lived in the house. The stuff that they was doing and the people that was coming to see him, they didn't want nobody else to see.
Well, there was an incident where you saw Puffy punch her in the face.
Yeah.
What happened there?
He punched her in the face, and it was almost like she was a little kid.
My bad, I'm not laughing. He said it's a situation where he punched him in the face, and he said, what happened? He punched her in the face. That's what I'm laughing at, man. I'm a sense of humor, even though that, Puffy, you are wrong, man. That's wrong. I shouldn't be laughing now, but because I'm studying his expressions. I'm studying what he's saying and doing.
They didn't want people that lived in the house with him. Like I lived in the house, one of his assistants lived in the house.
Explain
the
what
stuff
happened
that
when
they
he
was
punched in the
doing
face.
and the people that was coming to see him, they didn't want nobody else to see.
Check this out.
Well, there was an incident where you saw Puffy punch her in the face.
Yeah.
What happened there?
He punched her in the face, and it was almost like she was a little kid. Like she was embarrassed that it happened. And I looked at him, and when he know he does something wrong, Puff himself is like a little kid when he knows he does something wrong. You know, he has a look on his face, and then you know not to ask him about it. So I never asked him about it, what it was for, what was going on. It was times where if she talked to a guy too long, he would get upset, and then the next thing you know, they was fighting. But around me, he started to become conscious of what he was doing because I would always break it up.
Well, you said that they had an abusive relationship that went both ways. Like you said, in the car, she punched him in the face with a ring on that, I guess, cut him.
No, I didn't cut him.
I didn't cut him, but it left an impression,
right?
You know, on his face. And both of them were hit each other, but him more than her.
No, I'm going to say, when I say hit each other, I'm going to say it's one or two incidents she hit back. But let's be real, Vlad. I've had fights with my wife, you know what I'm saying? And she can hit me. It's nothing compared to if I was to hit her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I say that they have an abusive relationship, I say sometimes she did fight back. But when I say fight back, this is after years.
Yeah.
This wasn't like the beginning, because at the beginning she would just ball up and crawl up. And to see him hit her would be like, you mad about something else. Like what are you really mad about? You know what I'm saying? And it became a point where, like, even everything that they talk about, like, you wouldn't know that all of this was going on because the immediate crew thought that was wifey. Like, she was off, you know, nobody could say nothing to Cassie. So it was like, I love her. And it was times that me and him talk. And he would say, yo, Barnes, I don't know what to do. I said, what you mean you don't know what to do? It's coming a time where I'm gonna have to make a decision between Kim and Cassie. You know what I'm saying? You know, Shorty wanna get married. You know what I'm saying? And I remember one specific time, he asked me that, we was in the Hamptons, and I gave him an answer. And I said, even though you love Cassie, I said, you know, Kim is your ride or die. She got the kids. And what I didn't know was, and he didn't know, is that he butt down Cassie. And the next week, Cassie came and told me, she said, Barnes, I heard you. I said, you heard what? She said, I heard you tell Puff to take Kim over me.
Wow.
And I was like, she said, nah, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. And we never spoke about it again, you know?
Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, from people I talked to.
Wow. See, these are the stories that no one will get in a lawsuit or anything. You had to be there to experience this deepness of what he's saying. That's deep. That's too deep right there, bruh. It's more. I'm trying to tell y'all, it's more.
That were close to Puff. They all told me that Puff refused to get married because he loved his money too much. And he couldn't comprehend potentially getting a divorce and splitting some of his money.
He told me that out of his own mouth. He said, I'm not giving nobody 50% of what I got.
Yeah. From people I've talked to that were around Cassie during this time, Cassie really wanted to marry Puffy. And I remember a private conversation I had with someone, you know, an executive that everybody knows. They were, you know, basically hanging out one day, and he said the whole time, the whole ride back was, hey, can you convince your friend Puffy to marry me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to get married. I'm tired of just being his girlfriend. You know, can you talk to him, convince him to get married? She wanted to marry him, but he never wanted to marry her.
I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, and, you know, during these abusive situations, you would sometimes take Cassie to the hospital?
Yes.
To the Beverly Hills Hospital, and you would go the back door.
Through the back entrance, yes.
Okay. And
it's been times that I took her there, and it's been times I took Diddy there, where I don't know if it's called the overdose. I don't know, whatever you call it underneath them circumstances, but it was times that I had to take him through the back door for there also.
Okay, and the hospital basically just asked no questions?
No questions. It was like it was already taken care of through his staff.
Wow. Okay, and during this time, and you had kind of hinted at this before, Puffy asked what Cassie called her father and her grandfather, and that was Pop Pop?
Pop Pop, yes.
And he had her call him that.
Right, right. She would say it over the PA system and everything else, Pop Pop. And he got off on that. And I believe one time he was on the phone with the father and said, this is my daughter now. She called me Pop Pop. She called me Dad.
That's always been weird to me, man. You know, when girls call me daddy in bed, I've always would stop them. I'm like, nah, I don't like that. That sounds almost like incest. Like, I just don't like it. But right. I guess he got off on that.
I guess so.
I guess so. And, you know, he would send Cassie's parents on vacations and give them money and everything else like that to try to placate the situation.
Yes, yes.
And they would take it.
Yeah, they would take it. They would take it, and her brother came and I think he gave her brother a job working with her. You know what I'm saying? He would do all the things to calm it down, to satisfy, especially after they had a big blow up or a big fight. And he felt like the mother and father knew about it.
In 2010, a situation happened involving Suge Knight. And this was in the lawsuit as well. She said on one occasion when Diddy and Cassie were at home doing drugs, one of the security barged in and announced that Suge Knight was spotted at Mel's drive-in diner in LA. She said Diddy got dressed, retrieved multiple guns from the safe, and ran out to where, you know, Suge Knight was. Cassie said she was terrified and began to cry, you know, as he grabbed all these guns and this whole situation occurred. Now, you were actually involved in this.
No, I wasn't actually involved in this. I was at the house.
Okay. So how were you involved in this situation?
I was at the house.
In this situation right here, I was Diddy security at that particular time.
Were you the security that barged in to tell him?
No, at that particular time, I believe it was D-Rock.
Okay.
So what happened was, because I came in, my flight was 6 a.m. that same morning. So when I came in at 6 a.m. in the morning, when I got into the house, Diddy ran up on me, yeah, nigga, you heard what happened last night, right? I said, what happened last night? He said, man, we was about to give it to Suge. We was about to give it to Suge. I said, what happened? So he said, at nighttime, Diddy would ask for burgers in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying? So at 3, 4 in the morning, he had an assistant named David, who was the assistant, and D-Rock was the security. Suge knows D-Rock from Biggie days.
Yeah, that's Biggie's man.
Right.
Yeah.
So they pulled into Mel's diner, and Suge and them pulled into Mel's diner at the same time. So when D-Rock opened up his door, Suge opened up his door, and they was facing each other. And Suge looked at him and said, what the fuck you doing out here? And D-Rock said, I'm working. What you think I'm doing out here? Meanwhile, the assistant slid off to the side and he called Puff and said, yo, D-Rock and them got a problem. He said, what's the problem? He said, Suge and them is here at the Mel's Diner. So Mel's Diner is about 5 minutes straight down in Beverly Hills from the house. So Puff gathers up the things that he got to gather up and he pulls up. He comes in the black Cadillac and he told D-Rock, and this is what D-Rock told me exactly. He said, man, we couldn't let nothing happen to Puff.
For those who don't know, Mel's Diner was a very popular TV show also about that same Mel's Diner that they talking about. Yeah, it was a TV show.
He said, yo, we ran into Suge last night. He said, after me and Suge had a couple of words, he said, a couple of dudes pulled up in cars. And he said, Suge grabbed the little dude by his arm and was whispering to him, and the dude was looking back. But he stayed in the light so that nothing happen. And Puff pulled up in the Cadillac truck. And when he pulled up in the Cadillac truck, they got in the truck. And he was like, yo, let's end this shit right now.
Wait, Suge and Puff got in the truck together?
No. Diddy pulled up in the Cadillac truck. And D-Rock got inside the truck.
Got it.
And
I knew it was going to be hard to sit here and just go straight through this, but I had to take a quick break. Here we go.
Puff said, yo, let's end this shit right now. I think it was D-Rock, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Rube. And he said, yo, let's end this shit right now. And they was like, yo, you can't end this shit right now. What we gonna do without you? Let's just go home. You know what I'm saying? And then some girls pulled up to the truck because they still didn't know who that was in the Cadillac truck. So some girls pulled up in a convertible Bentley next to the truck trying to get them to open the window. And Rube told him, like, don't open that window. He said, they just trying to see who's in this truck. But it was Puff inside the truck. And then they went back to the house.
There was another situation with Suge at the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Yeah, I was there for that one.
What happened?
I was sitting outside the hotel. As we do, one of us would sit outside the hotel. One of us would go inside the hotel. Puff did all his meetings at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And I seen Suge pull up. So I hit my man on the mic and said, yo, big boy getting ready to walk into the hotel. He frequented Beverly Hills Hotel also. You know what I'm saying? So he said, okay. He said, where he at? I said, he coming in the door. So Puff seen him, and Puff said, yo. So I came in right behind him after that, and Puff said, yo, I got this. He said, let me talk to him. So after he introduced everybody, he said, I got this. And that's when he talked to Suge and said, yo, what's the problem? Like, why are we still going back and forth about this? And Suge said, nah, we ain't got no problem, this, that. He said, I just heard an interview the other day where you said this, that, and the other. He said, but listen here, man. He said, look at me when I'm talking to you. He said, yo, we here. And he did his fingers like this. He said, regardless of what you say later on, I know and you know that we faced each other right here and that we don't have no problem. He said, nah, that was 20 years ago, Puff. I'm trying to get everything together. So then he said, I'm trying to help the youth with football, this, that, and the other. What's your number so I could talk to you? And he said, nah, I'm gonna give you the office number and then you call the office and you let me know what you need and what's the situation and then I'll think about it. And then Suge walked away.
Right. And you actually knew Eric Von Zip.
Yeah, Zip was a good friend.
Yeah. Eric Von Zip was close to Puffy because Zip was also close to Puffy's dad at one point.
Right.
I had to look that name up also, Eric Von Zip. See, when I'm doing my research and everything, every name that they name, I have to do research on this and look these people up to see how deep they was in the bad boy camp to bring y'all the correct information.
But Zip was also close to Keefe D.
Right.
And according to Keefe D, in my interview, and TK Kirkland, this is a very hazy story, but allegedly, according to Keefe, during the whole beef with Death Row, you know, they had a meeting at a Greenblatt's Deli on Sunset, and Diddy was real upset over all the problems he was having, and he was like, yo, I'm gonna give $1 million to someone who just get rid of these guys. You know, whether it was a real hit or whatever, or just a guy being frustrated and just, you know, airing out his frustrations. He allegedly said that. After Tupac got killed in Vegas, Keefe said in our interview that Puffy called him and said, was that us? And allegedly, there was supposed to be $1 million payment that went from Diddy that was supposed to go to Keefe D. Eric Von Zip, who allegedly provided the gun for Keefe and Orlando that night, was the go-between. He allegedly took the money and basically ripped everyone off and started a club called Von Zips. And I remember when I talked to TK Kirkland, who was very close to Zip, he said, yeah, I think that's probably what happened. Did you hear anything to this regard?
Well, hearing things too, I knew Zip very well, but I knew Zip because we both from Harlem. And I knew him from my street days of being in Harlem. When I first got with Puff, I wasn't really seeing him that much. And then I started seeing him coming around a lot. Now, I do know Zip from those days. He was in Cali a lot. He was in Cali, that was like his second home. Because at that particular time, it was a drug called dust that you had to get, angel dust that you had to get from Cali. So he had a lot of connections with the people out in Cali. And as far as him paying money, I heard that stuff through the grapevine. I heard he ran off. I heard that that's how he opened up Von Zips, which is the old Jimmy's. They called it Zip Code. That was the name of it on 131st.
Yeah.
I heard the same rumors that you heard. And I heard them a little bit more because I'm in the mix. Whether they was true or not, I can't tell you if it was true.
Right, and Eric Von Zip passes away from cancer in 2012, so we'll never really know.
Exactly, which is a lucky thing for some people.
Yeah, especially Puffy. Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
2011.
Also, 𝗗𝗢𝗡 D. Okay, wait a minute, one
Said
more time.
After Tupac got killed in Vegas,
𝗗𝗢𝗡 D, I think.
Keefe said in our interview that...
Yeah, 𝗗𝗢𝗡 D. Okay, this is the guy that's already locked up and saying that Puffy was supposed to pay them $1 million for the hit. And Diddy turned around and said, Puffy, they only did half the hit. They didn't kill Suge Knight and Tupac, so they only get half the money. Now they saying that the other guy who passed away, all these people that basically, I don't know their names, I can't remember their names because I'm not good with names, and they was dead ends. And this dude 𝗗𝗢𝗡 D that's already locked up, and he got me going in circles, man. I don't know, should I believe what he's saying, or if he snitched to the point he done snitched on himself. So he just so circled to the point that I ain't got time to be getting deep like my man right here, Roger Bonds. Shout out to Roger Bonds, who was there, who was not afraid to tell the truth and like it exactly like it is. There's 3 things I like about him. He tell the truth exactly like it is. He not trying to sugarcoat it, and he ain't trying to make himself look big. He don't want to make himself look big. So, and he can speak well. He can speak very well. I wish I can speak very well to get straight to the point. One of the things that, that's one of the things I'm trying to stop, the arms. One of the things I'm trying to stop is the arms, but at the same time, I forgot what I was going to say, but at the same time, this video right here is 2 hours long. I'm gonna have to continue it, the rest of it tomorrow. So I might put it in 2 different parts, 1 hour and another hour, and then put both of them up together. Maybe we'll do that. But thank y'all so much for listening and watching me as I try my best to bring y'all the most sincere facts in all this. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Mike Cross told you so. Peace out.